It's time for Mac Stories Unwind, the show that's all about the picks. I'm John Voorhees, and with me is Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
Good, good. Happy Friday to you, Federico. We've made it through another week, and we've got some picks for the weekend. Why don't you kick it off? Because I think you've got a really intriguing pick here, I think.
I have a video game pick. No, it's not.
No, you don't. We're going to tease this every time.
Yeah, now it's my thing. You made fun of me a few times, and
I'm sorry.
It's going to stick forever. No, I have a music pick this week. I have a new album, and it's the latest album by Block Party. The album is called Alpha Games. So, some context. So, Block Party, one of my all-time favorite indie rock, bands from the mid-2000s. This was one of the most influential bands for me when I was in high school. Because when they put out their first record, Silent Alarm, in 2004, and I discovered Silent Alarm the next year, toward the end of 2005, I became obsessed with them. And Silent Alarm, it really opened my perspective in terms of what modern indie rock music could be at the time. When I was in high school, I was very much into Oasis and the classic era of Brit rock, Brit pop from the 90s. So Oasis, Blur, Pulp, The Verve, Elastica, all those Brit pop bands from the 90s, and I was obsessed with them. And I thought that style of music was all that Britain could produce. But that, of course, changed in the early 2000s when indie rock, as was known at the time, and sort of indie rock made in the UK started to sound very different. And I think, tracing back the origins of this, you can absolutely tell that The Strokes, an American indie rock band, were absolutely influential on this change with their record, Room on Fire, and then Is This It? They really changed the landscape of what indie rock could sound like.
Yeah, those are great albums in their own right.
Yes, but Silent Alarm, what was different about it was just I had no idea, essentially, that you could do certain things with the guitar and with the bass line and with drums. Because Silent Alarm and Block Party, that was their debut album. They had put out an EP before that, and then they came out with Silent Alarm. But Silent Alarm, it mixed these elements of punk and indie rock and sort of math rock to an extent even. So the very precise riffs and the very sort of you can almost see the geometry of some tracks. You can see the structure, and it was unlike anything else. And the sounds and the electronic elements on those tracks. I mean, I'm talking about like Hitting Glass, for example, Helicopter from Silent Alarm, This Modern Love, all those. And Plants. I really loved Plants from Silent Alarm, but essentially that album changed my perspective completely. And their follow-up, A Weekend in the City, I also very much liked it. It was not as universally acclaimed as Silent Alarm, but A Weekend in the City, I thought it really expanded and it really showed Block Party maturing into this more complex band, even from the perspective of the themes that were talked about in A Weekend in the City. So after the second album, I kind of stopped connecting with their follow-up records. I didn't really connect with Intimacy, and the more Block Party went into the direction of an electronic sounds, the more I felt distant from them. So I didn't really like Intimacy. I didn't really like 4, except for a single track on 4. I think it was called Souls, maybe something like that. And Hymns is their last record from 2016, where Block Party really went into the electronic direction. And like I said, I didn't really connect with those albums. With the third, fourth, and fifth album, they didn't do anything for me. So I approached this new record, Alpha Games, which is the first one to come out in 6 years, post-pandemic, but also the first album to feature as co-writers the new band members, because that's the context that is necessary here. The original two of the original founding members of Block Party, the bass player and the drum player, they departed Block Party in 2015 and 2016, I want to say.
Okay.
So the Kelly Okereke, the singer and guitar player, and Russell Lissack, the other guitar player of Block Party, they're still here, but there's new entries on this record. So the bass player Justin Harris and the drummer Luis Bartle. Now, Luis, for sure, she was a part of and this is the sort of the turning point of Block Party. She was part of the anniversary tour that they did in 2018 and in 2019. Because Block Party celebrated the 15th anniversary of Silent Alarm with a special reissue of the album and a worldwide tour that they played all the songs from first to last one, plus some extras, I believe, like some of the B-sides, which also Block Party, like Oasis, they really had some excellent B-sides. Lots of B-sides from Block Party. Rhododendrons, one of my all-time favorites there. So they did this anniversary tour, and Louise, she was part of the lineup, but she was not part of the, this band composition is the first time the four of them have been collaborating together on the same record from start to finish. So I was checking out some interviews going into Alpha Games, like what's the context here? What should I expect? Does this album really deserve my attention? And it's clear right away from the very first song, Day Drinker, I think it is, that this album has a different energy. Russell and Kaylee have said that they made sure, first of all, that some of these tracks, some of these ideas, like some of the guitar riffs, some of the bass lines, they came up for the first time while they were doing sound checks for the anniversary tour. And doing the anniversary tour, you can imagine relearning those songs from 2004. You can experiment, you can try some variations, you can try some new things. And I guess during the sound checks, you'll be like, hey, what about this? Which is, something we haven't done before. Is it a new song? It's a new idea. Could it be something? Could it be not anything? We'll see. So they started rehearsing some of those ideas on and off while they were touring. But then they made sure that once they had a few ideas, they made sure that the four of them, and for sure always Kaylee and Russell, would always be in the same room just trying stuff, rehearsing, bouncing ideas off of each other, which was a major difference from the creative process of Hymns, where it was very much a studio album where Kaylee went in, tried some stuff on the computer, then Russell went in, tried some other stuff on the computer, and it kind of felt like this very disjointed record where there was no band behind it, but just a bunch of songs thrown together, of sounds thrown together. But here you can tell that it's very much a collaborative effort, and you can tell if only from the energy. So this album sounds, Alpha Games, sounds like an early Block Party record. It sounds like, what if Silent Alarm, what if the band that made Silent Alarm got together more than 15 years later, 18 years later, to make a new record. And so you have that energy, you have that guitar that, on tracks like Traps, for example, you get this very aggressive, very energetic bass line. And Day Drinker, the way that I really love the opening track, Day Drinker, because it's about two brothers. It's about the sibling rivalry between two brothers. And the themes of the lyrics are reflected in the structure of the song, where it's almost as if the vocals and the guitar are challenging each other as well. So you have the theme of the two brothers in the song, but you also have the vocals and the guitar sort of exchanging blows with each other in a way, which I thought was a very nice parallel there. But you have Day Drinker, you have Traps, also very nice video for Traps. Go check it out on YouTube. You have this incredible drum and bass line on Callum is a Snake, which is one of my highlights from this album. But then you also have, and this is the classic Block Party, right? Even on Silent Alarm, you had this very aggressive and energetic songs like Helicopter, obviously, but Like Eating Glass is another one. But you also had those tender, softer moments, right? On Silent Alarm, like Plants, for example, or This Modern Love. And so on Alpha Games, you go from those tracks to more tender tracks like If We Get Caught and Of Things Yet to Come. And Of Things Yet to Come is actually a song full of like if you read the lyrics, it's all about regret and what could have been, which is the sort of thing that I can really connect with. But yeah, you have that contrast, right, between the more, silent alarm, let's all, jump and sing along to those tracks like Day Drinker and Traps, but then you go into, and you have Callum is a Snake, of course, but then you go into If We Get Caught, which is perfect for, it's a perfect radio track, honestly, or perfect TV show track, I think. And you go into Of Things Yet to Come. So that balance I thought was really well done. One last thing that I would like to point out here, Luis's voice, hearing a female vocals on this record adds great variety to the classic Block Party repertoire, and I think it works really well. Obviously, she's an incredible drummer, and she does incredible things. Make sure to check out Luis's videos on YouTube where she exercises. It's like excellent work there. But hearing Luis on the backing vocals, that really did it for me, and especially on If We Get Caught. So I guess what I'm saying is, if you, like me, used to be a Block Party fan because of the first two albums, Silent Alarm and A Weekend in the City, and then you kind of dropped off over the years because you didn't really connect with Intimacy 4 and Hymns, go check out Alpha Games because it'll do it for you.
That sounds really great. I've only listened to the first track off this album, so I'll have to check it out myself. Federico, I have a video game for you, because I'm going to have to hold up. I'm going to have to hold up this end. I'm not cheating. I made no promises whatsoever about games. I have been, now that we've got our Automation April behind us, I've been exploring some games that I had stacked up on my Switch and elsewhere. And one of the ones that I've played recently that I like a lot is called OlliOlli World. And
nice.
Yeah, this is available on the Xbox, PlayStation, Switch, and PC. I've been playing on the Switch, and I think it's a great game for handheld, whether you're doing that, on something like a Steam Deck or on the Switch or whatever it happens to be. But I haven't tried it on the big screen, just on the Switch and in handheld mode. And I really enjoy this. And I think it's important to get the context for this game, which is a skateboarding game, is to go back in time, back to 2014, when OlliOlli first debuted as a very different game. This is the first game, and I guess you could call this a series. OlliOlli was a very heavily pixelated 2D arcade game, and it was a skateboard game. And what made it special wasn't the graphics or anything like that. It was really the gameplay and the controls, because OlliOlli debuted this idea of flicking the thumbstick to do tricks. And so you can, what you do is, and this is true in OlliOlli World as well, you pull the thumbstick one direction and let go, and it does a particular trick. And then you can combine that with other, button presses and things to do different tricks. And what's neat about it, it seems very simple. It's very easy. It's one of those things that's easy to understand how to do, but hard to master, because OlliOlli, the first game, was so much fun because it required precise timing, and it had these controls that just felt natural and kind of like connected you with the game in a way that felt very much like skateboarding should feel, with the way you executed the tricks. So that game, I was really into OlliOlli back in the day and played it quite a bit on the PS4, the original PS4. And then it was followed on a year later by OlliOlli 2, Welcome to Olli World. And I did not really play this game. It was out on the PlayStation as well and some other places, I think. But I didn't really get into that. And then when I heard OlliOlli World was coming to the Switch, I thought this sounded interesting. And what really struck me about it is the fact that it just looks so different. If you turn back the clock and you look at screenshots of that original OlliOlli game with its chunky pixelated graphics, OlliOlli World looks a lot like an Adventure Time cartoon. It's got that kind of pen ink style that's very cartoony and very, it works really well with the animations, but this is not like a retro pixel game by any stretch of the imagination. It's also not really an arcade game or a pixelated retro game either. It's got some of the same control mechanisms, but there's actually a story here, because there's a skate wizard named Chiffon who is about to retire and is looking for someone to take her place as the skate wizard in this world called Nirvana. And so you are basically being tested to see if you can become the next skate wizard. And you travel around from place to place on the map with different challenges, along with Chiffon's skating crew. There's a guy named Dad, who's an older guy, and then there's Big Mike, and there's a couple other characters. And it's not 2D; it's I guess what they call 2.5D, right? Where you can, for instance, you may be doing a particular level, and there may be a track that you're on, and you can switch tracks from grinding on one surface to another. So it's not like true 3D, but it allows you to kind of move from one perspective to another. And it's funny how different this game looks, yet how familiar it was to me right away in terms of getting the controls down and remembering how to play. Because it starts you out with a tutorial that's really reminds me a little bit of the original OlliOlli tutorial.
Sorry, could you say that again?
That was Siri. That was Siri not understanding what I'm saying about OlliOlli.
Please leave it in. Please leave it in.
Could you say that again, please? I'll try to be more clear about this game, Federico. But yes, it starts with a tutorial, and then you move from area to area, perfecting these levels. And on each level, there are a series of challenges that you have to accomplish if you want to get a perfect score. And your scores go up depending on how many of these things you complete and how complex your tricks are and all those sorts of things. And I found myself very quickly in this game wanting to beat wanting to do the best I possibly could on every level, and going back and replaying them, because it's not just, can you get to the end of the level without falling down? There are checkpoints. So if all you want to do is kind of get to the end of each run, you can kind of play that way, get to a checkpoint, and then if you crash later, start from the checkpoint and get to the end without too much trouble, although obviously it gets harder as you go along. But there are also collectibles along the way, like, grab the starfish, which requires precise timing, or avoid skating into the inflatable banana, which was another one early in the game. And you don't have to do those things, but if you do, your score goes up, obviously, and it requires a lot more precise timing and certain tricks to get each one of those things perfected as you go along. And I've just found this game to be incredibly fun, because it's this combination of bright, colorful graphics. This is kind of a theme for me right now, because I've also been playing the Kirby game, which I may recommend down the road. But bright, colorful graphics, kind of a game that can be played in relatively short sessions, because these levels are not particularly long, but they are challenging and fun. And they're the kind of thing that you can pick up without having to you can even put it down for quite a while and not feel like you have to relearn how to play the game, which I really like, because if you get busy on something, you may not touch a game for a week or so, and it doesn't feel like you're backsliding and not being able to play it anymore. So it's been fantastic. Like I said, I think it's a great game for handheld. Although I could really see this being fun on a TV too, just because the animations are so fun and the colors are so bright. But it's definitely a great game on the Switch.
Very nice.
All right, Federico, that's it for this week's episode of Mac Stories Unwind. You can find me and Federico over at macstories.net. Federico is on Twitter and Instagram too, where he's at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees, JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next Friday, Federico.
Ciao, John.